Hey guys, and welcome back to the show where we talk about everything stocks and investments. So we look at different trading strategies to benefit you, and we also look at what's happening directly in the markets in real time and how you can benefit from exactly what is happening and what better way to look at what's happening in the market now than earning season. So earning season has just come to a close, and what better way to end the earning season than with the number one, the largest stock on the market, NVIDIA. So for those of you who have not known about NVIDIA, you need to get on board right now. So NVIDIA is the leading chip makers in the artificial intelligence space, and so they've been pretty dominant for the past 2 3 years, and Nvidia has been on a crazy rally, breaking and exceeding market expectations. They have surpassed it. They've grown over 200% year over year for the past 2 years, and so far on track they have seen stock growth of over 165% so far. So, what better way to end the earnings season than to actually talk about NVIDIA? So, NVIDIA had their earnings call on the 20th of November 2024, which was Wednesday gone. And so, on that earnings call, they actually spoke about the revenue. So NVIDIA had grown their revenues to $35.1 billion. Yes, $35.1 billion. And of that $35.1 billion, 78% came from the data center, and 2% came from the automotive industry, and 17% came from the gaming unit. So NVIDIA, what they do is they create these GPUs and CPUs and different types of models and devices to really using the artificial intelligence and to really promote and push machine learning. So rather than just using the CPU, they actually created a whole GPU, which is better for doing machine learning. And so this is where they saw the greatest growth. And also in the gaming industry. So they have been venturing out into the gaming industry, and so they've created chips especially for gaming and to really infuse different AIs and sorts of stuff into that, and that also was able to help fuel the growth. So NVIDIA right now is valued at $3.6 trillion. They have so far flown past Apple. They've outgrown the competition. They are in a league of their own right now, so to say. And with NVIDIA, it's the stock prices, the stock movements, it's different from everybody else in the market. So when it comes down to investing in NVIDIA, especially during the earnings call and during the earnings season, you notice that leading up to this event, the stock prices tends to grow, and then all of a sudden it falls. Like a day or two before the actual earnings call, it falls. And this has been the pattern over the past 3 quarters. So the last quarter, in fact, the stock actually was on a great rally, and then 2 days before the earnings call it started falling, and then the earnings call came out and the stock fell even more, and their returns were not that bad. And even this quarter so far, so leading up to Wednesday the 20th of November's earnings call, the stock was actually rallying, and then on the day of the earnings call it fell, and it had a pretty drastic fall as well too, because the stock fell by 2%, and it was down to about $139 at the end of Wednesday. And even after trading hours and pre market opening hours, the stock was still falling. But then once the market opened, it rallied up to $149, and it's now up about 1.5%. And this is just a pattern that I've realized with investors, especially when it comes on to NVIDIA. Like, they have been so used to these extraordinary returns. They have been used to the company breaking barriers, breaking records, just outperforming themselves year over year, quarter over quarter for the last 2 years. That now, when the things have slowed down a little bit and it's has sort of stabilized, and the demand for the items, the value of the items, and the amount that is being created is not as much great as it was 2 years ago or even a year ago. And so investors in NVIDIA have kind of fallen a little bit lackadaisic in this sense, in that they have gotten so used to this great demand and growth that now that things are a bit stabilizing more, they are actually just pushing it aside, and they're saying, hey, let's go elsewhere with our monies now, because this company is not really growing, when in reality it is growing. The stock has grown 17% over their quarter in revenues, and 94% over the previous year. That is phenomenal. And the net profit has grown about 17 or 16% as well too. And so this is great for companies, especially this time. NVIDIA has been the forefront of AI. They have created that industry. AI really got popular because of OpenAI and ChatGPT, so they made AI mainstream. But because of the popularity and the increase in demand for AI, NVIDIA was able to capitalize, and they really just went full force into AI and just developing that technology, developing that whole aspect, and growing that arm of the business. And so they became a monster in the AI game. They became the leaders. They outgrew the competition, and though competitors are catching on, they are still far behind NVIDIA right now. And so during the earnings call, NVIDIA actually spoke a lot about their Blackwell and hoppers. So these are actually GPUs that they are selling at this point. So they produced it and they are selling it. So they especially focus on the Blackwell, which is the GPU that they have seen a lot of demand in. And if you Google Blackwell, you will notice that there are 1 and 2 articles out there saying that it overheats, and NVIDIA actually came out with a statement saying that there's no overheating with it. So if anyone had experienced it, then this issue pretty much has been fixed, and the Blackwell super AI super chips are now full force ready to go. They're actually being pushed like crazy. So these are really great times for NVIDIA. And when it also comes on to the automotive industry, the automotive is actually created about $1.1 billion in NVIDIA's revenue, and it generated about 2% of the overall revenue. And so automotive really is just motor vehicles. So a lot of cars nowadays, they actually have these chips embedded in them. So when you carry your cars to the mechanic or the garage to actually be serviced, they no longer go under the hood and pull everything apart and take it for a test drive to hear a certain sound or get a certain feel. What they do, the first thing they do when you carry a car in, is they run a diagnostic test. So they connect it to their machines that they have, and this is really the reason why a lot of mechanics right now specialize in just a particular brand of car, or maybe just a few brands of cars, and they specialize in cars based on the region and the countries where they are made, because it's a lot easier. So you'll have mechanics that specialize in Japanese cars, mechanics that specialize in American cars, mechanics that specialize in German cars, and then mechanics that specialize in BMWs, different from Volkswagen, different from Porsche, different from Audi. So it's crazy out there. And what really they do is just connect the cars onto their machine, they run a diagnostic test, and then it tells you what is wrong or what the issue is. And so this is really the sector that NVIDIA has been diversifying into. And the sector that really would benefit from this is electric vehicles. So Tesla, for instance, actually have been working on having self-driving cars for over a year now. And other car manufacturers have created assistance in terms of driver assistance. So whether it's parking or in your lane and it has that lane assist to keep you in that lane, or some sort of assistant. And this really would be based on satellite, and so with AI can really be a forefront and a forerunner in this space. And so having NVIDIA now focusing on this market is going to open so many doors for them. And yes, the electric car industry in the United States has taken a hit. The sales have not been as what a lot of persons had projected in 2020 and 2021. But the good news is that the Asian and the European markets are still very strong and pro electric vehicles, and so they will still demand a lot of these auto vehicles, a lot of these cars, and NVIDIA will be able to expand and grow on their market share in the actual automotive industry. And lastly, so NVIDIA actually has a podcast out now. It's called the AI podcast. And what they really do is they interview different leaders within the company and outside, and they talk a lot about the AI space and really how AI is affecting different persons in their roles. So they interview persons from the software engineers at the company to persons working at the DEO. So it is crazy. So if you have interest in learning more about the AI space and how AI is impacting different persons, I will suggest that you give this podcast a listen. And it actually is a pretty good podcast based on what, when I was listening to it, I learned so much about just everything that's happening in the AI space and the AI industry. And fun fact, NVIDIA's the AI podcast actually has been around since 2016. So that was long before podcasting was even a thing. And there's one other person I know that has a podcast that has been around for about that period or maybe a little bit longer, and his name is Rob Moore, and the podcast that he has is called the Disruptors Podcast. And what he does is he interviews different leaders and experts within their field, and he asks them really challenging and thought-provoking questions. And he has one of the largest podcasts and podcasting agencies in the United Kingdom and across the world. So his podcast is one of the largest in the UK and across the world. and the podcasting agency is the largest in the UK. It's the number one largest podcasting agency, and they've launched many podcasts that have reached number one on the charts. They've secured many sponsorship deals for different persons. So if you really want to know more about the AI space and what's happening and NVIDIA on a whole, you should definitely check out the AI podcast with NVIDIA. And so that really is it as far as how everything is going for NVIDIA. And the only way for NVIDIA going forward is to continue growing and progressing in the right direction, because AI is going to be around for a pretty long time. And so with the diversifications that they are making, from data centers to, which is clouding and the GPUs, and now to automotives, gaming, and also they do some visual robotics kind of things. So they're currently working on technologies to actually have AI integrate in the world, so that you can have these machine learning technologies actually integrated in your daily life, so you can communicate with them, you can operate with them. And they're really pushing the AI. And so if things continue on this trajectory, then it's only going to be greater and better things for them and for you as an investor as well too, because as I shared earlier, the stock grew by over 165% so far this year. And the trend with NVIDIA is leading up to the earnings calls. The stocks rally and then it falls. And it falls for about a day or two. And then usually within a week it picks up. But this quarter has actually changed all of that. So the stocks actually fell on the day of the earnings call, and by the next day the stock actually recovered. Usually it would have fallen a little bit before, and it would have taken a little bit longer to recover. So this shows us that investors, though they were a bit skeptic on the day, it was more of just a flash sale that was happening. So people were just panic selling. So it was a panic sale that was happening. And so persons realized they were just overselling the stock for no real fundamental reasons, because the stock has been performing well. It did beat the expectations. It may not have been exorbitant like in the past, especially during COVID, when the demand was so high and the supply was so little that it was so disproportionate. But now it has somewhat come much closer to an equilibrium. It's still a much far away from actual equilibrium, but the disparity between the actual demand and supply is a lot less now compared to 2-3 years ago. And so with that being said, NVIDIA is definitely one of the stocks that you want to keep on your radar, you want to look out for, you want to just plug into and really know what is happening and what is going on in the space and in the world, really and truly, because everybody uses AI, from social media to the search engines now. And I guess it's only a matter of time before YouTube incorporates it. So AI is here to stay. So whether you're skeptic or you're for AI, you need to get on board and get with the times, or the times will leave you behind. Alright, so thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode. If you like it, I'll ask you just to give us a thumbs up and leave any comments below, and I will get back in touch with you, and share this video with a friend who you think might benefit from the information or would love to just hear what is being said. And last, I'd like to say subscribe and follow so that you don't miss out on new episodes as soon as they are released. Alright, until next time, take care. Love you guys. Bye.